Yeah, but I only have one person that comes to watch me. Why am I going to moderate? The moderator. And hi, everyone. It's me again. Today will be the last two chapters. Chapters 8 and chapter 9 of book 4. Exactly. Yes, I don't have any idea for what I'm going to do for book 5 yet. I'm still working on some ideas, but I have nothing. I'm stuck. Sorry, I got a little hungry. Just eating crackers. All right, let's get started. Chapter 8. You met the new character I created, Eve, the android. Looks human. That was something I liked. I don't know what made me just decide to do that, but she's in. Hope you liked the character. It was just a last minute addition I made to the story. Okay. Chapter 8. Lieutenant Eve, welcome aboard. Admiral Stephen Spears says as she steps onto the upper bridge level of the dual level bridge of the SS Jaeger. She's wearing the uniform of the Rebel Alliance, with a short above the knee skirt, and the rank of lieutenant. Her badge. She is a stunning beauty for a girl born just 18 hours ago from a cloning chamber, but looks to be about the age of 22 and fresh out of the academy. Excuse me. Thank you, sir, she says, smiling as she steps up and comes to attention at the sight of the admiral before her. She gets funny looks from the other bridge officers as she steps onto the bridge. They'd already been given a heads up about a new crew member joining them on this journey. An unusual new officer, also the ship's navigation officer. Where's my station? She asked. Right over here, Lieutenant, Captain Ira Goldman says, pointing to a vacant chair near the front of the upper tier of the ship's bridge. It is also centrally located, allowing the navigator to get a great view of the lowered bridge area and a stunning view of the space beyond. Just as Rena, a gazillion navigator, stands up and vacates the chair in favor of the new navigator. Thank you, sir, Eve says, smiling as she sits and does a once-over, the readouts and the controls before her. She looks as human as anyone else on the bridge, even though she is an artificial intelligence on two legs. It can think faster than the best supercomputers anywhere. She fine-tunes some settings that Rena had made onto her station and settles back to await further orders. Set a course for halfway station, Lieutenant, Goldman says, smiling as he sits in his command chair behind the navigation and weapons station's maximum warp. Set and laid in, sir, Eve says, not looking over her shoulder as she looks straight ahead. All business. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Make it so, Lieutenant, Goldman says. Moments later, the Jaeger jumps into hyperspace, followed by the three by the three tri-wings will make to the Jaeger hull in hyperspace. In the search, the warp doesn't even affect the passengers and crew at all, but everyone on board feels nothing but a slight surge under their feet. Even in hyperspace, the escort fighters will be able to mate with the ship's hull with no ill effects on the journey. The jet pilots will be able to climb up into the hull without having to wear a spacesuit. Some hatches are hermetically sealed. Once the fighter mates with the lower hull, wow, this excuse me. Wow, this is a beautiful ship, Julia says as she walks up behind the captain. She is, Your Highness, Goldman says, nodding but not turning to look at her. Julia moves around the small bridge area and then looks down at the lower deck. About a dozen men and women staffed it. She walks up to look at Eve, the navigator, who's looking straight ahead. Lieutenant, Julia says, smiling. Your Highness, Eve says, smiling back. Can I help you? How's it going so far? Julia asks. Ship's systems are working optimally, Your Highness, Eve says. She scans over her flight displays. We should reach halfway station in about 4 hours. Cool, Julia says, nodding. She goes back to join Stephen, who's seated in a vacant chair behind the captain. He's not in charge here. He's only here as a guest and passenger. She takes the empty seat next to him as well. On the other side, Seth and Natuk are seated as well. None of the admirals on board is in command. They're just here as passengers. Okay. How do you like your accommodations, Admiral? Goldman asks. Very comfortable, Captain, Stephen says, nodding. I see that you and your entire crew have their own accommodations for such a large vessel, but so few to take care of your passengers. Most of the ship's systems are AI-driven and automated, Stephen. Goldman. Where was I at? Goldman says, sorry. Nice, Stephen says. Many of the passengers are getting comfortable in their cabins. Stephen and Julia have a large cabin suite that was originally 2 separate cabins, with the wall partition between them removed, which can be done in a pinch if needed. There are only 25 passengers on board, including 2 toddlers. Julia and Stephen and Julia's children are Julianne and Sarah Ann, taking up 3 decks. Okay, I gotta rewrite that. The ship takes up compartments. Sorry. Thought I fixed everything. No, I did not. Okay. The compartments taking up 3 decks in the passenger pod of the Jaeger. The lowest deck has accommodations for the crew and officers. The senior officers have their own accommodations on the top deck behind the entrance to the top bridge deck. And I do enjoy our new navigators, Lieutenant Eve, Goldman says, in addition to our own Gazelle navigators. Mm-hmm. Even an android captain, Stephen says, but I would ask that you and your crew show respect to her as a request, not an order. Sorry, he's thirsty. Eve feels no hard feelings towards the ship's crew. Even though she has emotions, she feels welcome among the crew since she stepped on board. She has improved the ship's systems and they upgraded the ship's AI system. At first, the science tech people on Ukraine Prime were still having problems installing the AI and then integrating it into the ship's systems. She was immediately accepted among the crew when AI came online. Who's online, my friend? Hiki? Is that you? You're usually the only person that says hi to me. Oh, and then well, let me rephrase that. 8 hours later, here to take over, Lieutenant. Rena says, tapping Eve on the shoulder. Thank you, Admiral Rigo. Eve says she takes her hands off the flight column one at a time, then rose to her feet, at which Rena took her seat. Who would be surprised to see that Eve has improved the ship's performance by 50% since she took the station. She's smarter than the most brilliant Gazillion navigator ever. She thinks to herself of Eve. She knows that the lieutenant is an android and has only recently come to life, so to speak. She'd seen the android lying in a cleaning chamber. That was only days ago. How'd you enjoy going through both jump gates, Eve? She asked the android. I was so excited to get to try hyperspace travel. Then the joining the fighters to the mothership in hyperspace. I did it all by myself. I think the crew was worried that I'd screw it up badly. But I managed both operations with ease. Sorry, damn pop-ups. Where was I? Okay. You did fine, Lieutenant, the commander says as he passes the android to sit at the weapons station. I was one of the pilots of the tri-wing that docked. We didn't have to make any minor or major alterations to our course when we approached. This was the first time we had a fighter dock with a mothership on hyperspace. So you set a new record. I'm gonna take a break for a minute. Hi Hiki, how you doing, my friend? You like it so far? Sorry, it's damn pop-ups. I hate pop-ups. Okay. Back to my reading. I'm only reading I'm reading the last 2 chapters of the book today. So once it's done, it's going to be a while before you hear from me on the book 5 because I haven't even begun writing book 5 yet. So I'm still working on ideas in my head for the book. All right. So you set a new record too. Thank you, sir. I am honored, the android says, smiling as she walks off the bridge. As well she should be. That kind of operation has never been done in normal or in hyperspace as of yet, the commander says, as he took his seat at the rear of the command deck. Eve caught that and her shoulders perked up instantly at the compliment as she walked out. and the hatch slid shut behind her. She returns to her new quarters on the main deck. She passes the crew as they work on the exposed ship's systems and conduits with the panel sections covering them removed and set against the bulkheads. Or bulkhead, whatever. I need a drink. I'm starting to skill the horse. Sorry. Stephen now retires to his own quarters on the main deck. They share with the twins, who also share 2 quarters due to the small number of passengers on board. There's enough for crew to easily take care of the passengers. They have no viewports, but do have 3D holographic display of what is passing by the Jaeger. Stephen may be a senior officer on the Jaeger, but he was giving the command to Captain Goldman out of respect for his position. Goldman knows how to handle the Jaeger. He takes good care of his crew who needs anything, even off duty. He can join the passengers in the public areas. There are 2 bars, a large dining room, a casino, a pool, and a few shops for personal needs. Sorry. There's a mural journal of Chuck Yeager on the wall of the large dining room of when he was in his World War II flight uniform. He was my great uncle in real life, by the way. So, Stephen, what do you think of Eve? Is she a good choice as navigator? Julia asks. She's doing just fine for a first-time navigator and as an android, Stephen says. So are you happy you brought her with us? Yes, I am. She did a great job with the docking operations with the new tri-wings, he says, yawning. And do try it. Okay, I made a mistake. No typo error. And to do it in hyperspace to boot. She did a great job there, too, she says, yawning as she gets up to go check on the twins. I watched her work at the navigator station. Her hands were blurred, like she was, he says, joining her. The twins are sound asleep in their cribs. They're built into the bulkhead leading to the suite's large bathroom. They kiss the kids on their foreheads and they retire to their own bed. It's so late now. I needed that. I was thirsty. Okay. The Jaeger comes out of hyperspace on the edge of the distant SMC, Small Magellanic Cloud. They get a great view of the colorful galactic cloud, which is also a satellite galaxy on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. They do encounter a few Pomerian and a few Tellurian shipwrecks as they drop out of warp. One of the few wrecks from previously unknown races. None of the wrecks were recognizable as known alien vessels. Ooh, interesting. Okay, this is what Bethel used to look like 55,000 years plus years in the past, Stephen says. As a 3D image of the lost samurai world appears on the big screen in the briefing room. The small pyramid storage device sits and a reader placed on the conference table. At the same time, Eve operates the computer controls in front of her. They can see the land masses look almost like those of Earth, but that was 55,000 years ago. Now that I've worked with Eve here, I have worked to envision what the planet would look like today. Continents now move around the globe, 3D globe, making it almost look similar to Centauri Prime. Steven now has an idea what they're looking for. Hopefully, if the computer simulations are correct, Beftel will pop out easily. The only problem will be finding it. At least he knows what he's looking for, just not a location. Where is this world, Admiral? Rena asks, raising a hand. I know what we were looking for, but even our oldest samurai warrior has no clue of its location, Rena. Correct, Master Magdalene? Sorry, I turned on light. It's too dark. Put it off. That's better. Sorry, I didn't realize it was so dark. Correct, Stephen, Magdalene says, nodding now. No idea what the star looks like or how many planets comprise the system or what the planet's position is in the system, too. Tough work then, Rena says, nodding. Well, I understand from Magdalene and my old friend Tagus. My key will lead me to the system, Steven says. As far as we know, it could be a rogue planet, so no star. Thank you for the thumbs up. What do you want us to, Where do you want us to explore first? Goldman asks. Head to the densest cluster of stars, Captain, Steven says. We should find some star systems with planets in them. Let's keep the fighters out in the periphery to explore any hopeful systems. Anything else, Admiral? No, that's all. Dismissed. Some hours later, they enter the outer edge of the SMC. Stephen is called to the command deck. What is it, Captain? We found this on long-range scans, Stephen Goldman says, pointing to a distant miles-long cigar-shaped vessel just coming into visual range. Stephen examines a wreck that appears worse than the Palmarian or Tularian wrecks they encountered. Book 3. Thank you, Hiki. It looks similar in design to the Metatron colony ship, but longer, wider, and flatter. Wider, and flatter. Ooh, that's scary. Master, are you seeing this? Stephen beams to Magdalene. Yes, I am. That's a Draki colony ship, Stephen. Magdalene beams back. What? Stephen beams. It was an early samurai training ship for apprentices and masters, Stephen beams. And Magdalene beams, I mean. They were sublight speed vessels, so it would take years, even decades, to reach even the outer reaches of the Milky Way galaxy. I think this is the only known physical example of these vessels. Most are just pictograms and memories among even my oldest masters. It is possible some made their way to Earth or even Centauri Prime. Interesting. To explore the wreck, Stephen beams. We should. Maybe we'll find a map leading to Beftal. I don't know. She beams. Captain, do you have a means to get people onto that wreck? Stephen asks. No, sir. No, sorry. The captain replies, confused by his question. Okay, we'll just have to get back to the ship at a later time, Stephen says. Gets better. I mean, found the world yet, as I said. Sorry, I'm going to grab me a cracker. only have to read. It's only 6 pages I'm reading today. 6 more pages, including the one I'm on now. Sirs, sensors are picking up a faint ion trail leading off into the distance, Eve says. It leads from the rear of the wreck to a dense cluster of stars. Laying a course for the stars, Lieutenant, Goldman says, nodding. Course laid in and set, sir, he says as the Jaeger starts moving at sublight speed. Okay. Oh, behind them is a second, smaller jump gate leading back to Halfway Point Gateway. Located on the outer edge of the SMC, they do see many wrecks from the 75,000-year-old war that caused the extinction of 2 long-gone species. One of them resided inside the SMC, the other resided just inside the LMC. A third, it leads to the Milky Way galaxy. I'm going to scratch that. I'm going to scratch that last sentence. Don't really need that on there. I feel the key leading me to the Bethel, Stephen thinks to himself. You feel it? Julia beams. Oh, yeah, I do, he beams, nodding. Laying a course to these coordinates, Lieutenant. He says 3324 Mark 2. Yes, Admiral, Eve says. Not looking over her shoulder. Course set and laid in. Full impulse power, Lieutenant, Goldman says. Full power. Full impulse power. Aye, the android says, nodding her head. They do find a couple more wrecks from a couple of races, but they do not recognize that they look like but they do not recognize that they look like. I'm gonna rewrite some of this stuff again. Sorry. Standard vessels for carrying beings, not warships. They do pick up alien signals from a few worlds, but they cannot translate them yet. Oh, some Tellurian warships, nearly fully intact, even after 75,000 years in the vacuum of space. But no Pomerian warships or anything else that is related to the Pomerian race. Well, okay. They're near Red Giant, which is surrounded by some 8 planets and moons. Students can see it as being drawn to the system. System M2244, Eve says. Go to the first planet, please, Stephen says flatly. Aye, sir, Eve says, nodding. As they pass through the system, they pass two gas giants that almost match the planets Uranus and Neptune in the solar system. They're a rocky world that looks similar to the planet Venus as well. They pass around the moon to face Bethel. Stephen says the blue-green world almost matches the images he has back in his quarters in the pyramid. There's a few differences, but it's nearly an exact match. Any intelligent life on the surface, Eve? Plenty of wildlife on the surface, Admiral, he says, but no signs of intelligent life. Plenty of deserted cities, villages, roads, and the like. Looks like the last time an intelligent life form inhabited the surface was some 57,000 years ago. According to the science scans, sir. Alright, I need a drink, sorry. When I start talking like that, I know my voice is getting hoarse. Alright. They do see what appears to be a space station in low orbit. It is still mostly intact. Sorry. Is the atmosphere breathable for us? Goldman asks. Give me a moment to scan the atmosphere, Eve says, nodding. She is acting as a science officer as she can multitask with her brain capacity. There's no real science officer on the Jaeger per se. It's a cargo vessel, cargo passenger vessel. Why carry a science officer? She launches probes into the upper and lower atmosphere to test the alien atmosphere. Moments later, the atmosphere is breathable for everyone on the ship, according to my scans from the probes. There are no signs of harmful alien germs or contagion, sir. Thank you, Lieutenant. Goldman says, nodding, laying a course for a landing on the surface. Is there a major city where the scan of the surface has been located? Located on the plotting board, madam. He says, nodding. Magdalene asked that question. Landy Jaeger just on the edge of the closest to the center of the city, Lieutenant. Goldman says. Beftal. Magdalene beams to her friends on the vessel. Beftal. Everyone beams back as they look at images of the world before them. Now that was an interesting idea. But that's not the interesting part of the story. You'll find that out when I get to it. I'll say this. You'll love the ending, I think. Can you translate it? Hold on. I missed something here. Oh, sorry. I'm skipping pages. I skipped the whole beginning of the whole new section. My bad, sorry. Back to my last page I was on. Oh my gods. Rena says that they stand beneath the towering monolith of a human-looking being. He looks more human than the inhabitants of Bethtal. He holds a samurai sword in one hand with several scrolls tucked under his other arm. The sword is carved to look like the real thing, unlike those used by modern samurai warriors. This monolith appears to be some 100 meters high, even without the pedestal it stands on. He also wears the samurai armor that the ancient Japanese shoguns once wore on Earth. But the monolith is covered in vines and such, covering it. Shogun Master Tao Kai, Magdalene says, recognizing him instantly. He's the founder of the Samurai Order, Master Akita says. This is so amazing, Stephen says as he walks along the deserted road lined on both sides by massive monoliths, all covered in vines. In the sky above, bird-like creatures fly freely as if there are no beings as if there's no beings on the ground. I keep seeing stuff I need to change. Sorry. Add. These are the forefathers of the Samurai Order, Julia says, examining a tarnished, rusted-out placard at the base of another monolith of a woman this time. The language is still visible, but alien to her. This is an early written form of the Gazelian language, Rena says, looking at it too. That's where I missed. Can you translate it, Rena? Give me some time and I will, Stephen. This predates even the language we had back in Gazel Cloud City. Understood, Rena. Stephen says, nodding his understanding. Some of the hieroglyphs here look like Ancient Egyptian, Chinese, and Japanese too, Sub says. Is it possible some of these people landed on Earth in the very late prehistory of our people when we were just coming out of the caves and starting to domesticate our animals? Very possible, Admiral. Earth was known as a cradle of the samurai order. As they pass through the ancient city, they see floating blocks of stone and other much heavier materials just floating there in midair with nothing for support. Interesting. Admiral, you gotta tell us that. Stephen hears over his smartphone, pulls it from his shoulder pocket of his jacket. Yes, he says, opening it and seeing one of the Jaeger's crew on the tiny little screen. It's a smartphone, but it looks like the old 1990s flip phone or the communicator from the original Star Trek TV series or Star Trek Enterprise. I hate those bad comm badges. Sir, I think you and your companions should come see what my people and I have found, the young woman says. A look of shock on her face. You can see a wall covered in hieroglyphic writing behind her. On our way, he says, as he leaves the phone on so he can track the team down more easily. What is it, Stephen? Magdalene asks as he starts rushing along to find the other survey team. They found something. They want us all of us, to see it. To see, Master. Rush out to find the other survey team. We're in a tomb close by, covered in ancient Egyptian and Incan hieroglyphs. The entire tomb is covered in carvings on the floor, walls, and ceiling. Stephen finds the other survey team looking up at the ceiling at a very familiar object in a rock. Carved in the rock. Carved in the rock. Using the hand lights to illuminate it. A jump gate, Stephen asks, perplexed. That's what it appears to be, all right, Rena says as she looks at the carvings around it. Those are coordinates to its location and how to operate it. Interesting. She now sees a depiction of what appears to be a distant galaxy in the ceiling, too, with what seems to be waves headed for it. These are the ancient Gazillion codes to operate the machine, too. Can you figure out how to operate this gate, Rena? I've already translated the coordinates and the codes to operate the machine, Admiral. He says, my memory banks contain the languages of 100,000 species in our galaxy alone. Good work, Eve. Stephen says, nodding. Let's return to the Jaeger and go investigate this new gate. But where is that galaxy depicted? I do not recognize it. That's where it gets more interesting. I will not tell you what the galaxy is. You gotta wait till the end of the next chapter. It could be any number of galaxies, Stephen, Magdalene says, but we must find out. Let's return to the Jaeger and lift off. Stephen says, nodding. Return to the Jaeger and the ship lifts off from the surface up of town and makes for orbit only after the survey teams go through decontamination protocols and check for alien contagion, just to be safe because they're on an alien world unexplored previously. Nobody knows why we are last chapter. I thought it would only be like 7 chapters long. Originally it was. But it's not now because I changed a lot. What do you think so far? Let me take me a little break. Have me a cracker. Okay. Thanks. You'll love chapter 9. I'm not going to tell you how it ends because it's the last chapter of the book. Chapter 9. This one is as big as a planet at a scale of Mars. That's a big gate. Stephen says that they finally find the newest, but much older jump gate. It's not even damaged in any way. There are several ancient wrecks surrounding the massive ring. Wow, Julia says, shock on her face as is the case of as with most of the people on the ship. A pictograph shows another galaxy in the carving. I wonder where this leads to, Stephen says. Captain, do you have any science probes on board? We have a dozen Mark 97P science probes in storage, sir. As they look at the gate looming before them. According to the carbon 14 by 85 dating of the material composing the station, the dating indicates. I gotta work on that. This dates back to some 45 to 50,000 years, sir. That's ancient. Where does this lead to then? Rena asks as she looks up from her own station behind the captain. The pictograms depict a distant galaxy just beyond the edge of the gateway. But where is the galaxy, and what galaxy is it? The only way we can find out, Rena, is to send a probe through to the other side to explore, Steven says. Okay, can we prep a probe with sensors, still cameras, and a video camera and send it through the gateway? We have one probe already fitted out with these sensor packages, Admiral Goldman says. They wanted us to explore whatever new artifacts we may encounter here, Stephen. Rena says, well, let's get this probe programmed and ready for flight. How soon can you have it ready? Stephen asks. All right, last page. I'd say 10 minutes, sir, Eve says, speaking up now as all sit at the conference table. Think so, Lieutenant. And when you're ready to launch it, load it into the forward cannon and launch it. Stephen says, shall we get this show on the road then? Sorry, Captain. You're in charge. It's okay, Stephen. Goldman says, smiling. I will admit, I will abide by what you say. So let's do this. Dismissed. Stephen says, smiling too. Some 10 minutes later, Mark 97P science probe is ready for launch into the gateway. On my mark, launch the probe, Steve Goldman says as everyone stands behind the science station. He's seated at it right now. Rena is sitting at the navigation station. She has activated the gateway controls in the field of shimmering ocean. Shimmering appears in the space formed by the ring. It's a massive ring, big enough for a planet to pass through. That's big. Three, two, one, launch, he says. He fires the probe out of the portside cannon fitted under the nose of the main bridge. The probe ignites its main engine and shoots forward at slow subsonic speed to the shimmering field, filling the interior of the massive ring. It slowly approaches the wall of shimmering light, passes through, and disappears. Now we wait. Some 18 hours later, and the probe comes out on the other side of the gate. On the other side, other end, whatever. Stephen, you are needed on the bridge. He hears Rena call over the ship's intercom system. Sorry, phone. Spam. I hate spam. Sorry. It's a phone call, but it was a spam call. I'll reread that again. Stephen, you are needed on the bridge. He hears Rena call over the ship's intercom system. On our way, he says, throwing on a robe over his pajamas. Julia does likewise, and they all walk up to the bridge where most of the passengers and crew stand looking at their weird readouts from the probe. What's going on? My readouts are going haywire or something. Let me rewrite that. Sorry. Alright, hang on. My readouts are going haywire or something. That probe just traveled 4.563 million light years in 18 hours. Eve says, looking at her readouts at the science station. What is 4.563 million light years away? Julia asks. Galaxy M31, better known as the Andromeda Galaxy, Your Highness, Goldman says. What the hell? Stephen says, shocked. Our probe just traveled in 18 hours to our closest neighboring galaxy. That would take us in this ship centuries to travel at maximum warp. Eve says that she studies readouts. And that's it. There's your cliffhanger, and where I'm stuck. What do you think? I'm thinking there's another samurai order on the other side in the Andromeda Galaxy. But I'm still working on the ideas in my head. Mm-hmm. Think the idea with the Andromeda Galaxy is a good idea too. I have plenty of other ideas, stuff I drew, but I have not even introduced into my story yet. But that might be it. Sorry, can't turn the volume down because otherwise might lose a important phone call, and that's spam. This is something I drew. I'm thinking about including in the story. Something they find in the Andromeda Galaxy. But that's something I'm still working on. Oh, this is the C-class cruiser. I never thought of that. I read the book. Very good reading. If you ever want to read a good book, look up The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. There's a which version have you talked about? The one that they made like in the early 2000s version of Andromeda Strain, or you talk the 1960s version? I've seen both. I prefer the 1960s, which actually follows the original book almost to a T. I mean, literally. Yes, it's an alien virus, but it was brought from space by a space probe that scooped it up. Yeah, I like the original, the first one, the 1960s. The town, you don't see the actual town. They don't bring the they don't explain how the probe got there. Just I read the book. If you want to find a really good book, read that. I read that when I was a kid. My dad had me reading stuff like that when I was a kid. I'd have to skip parts of the book because it got a little too technical. He actually does some really nice graphics in the book, stuff like that. I like Michael Crichton. I've read his books. I'm actually reading another one of his books he wrote just before he passed away. This is his last book he wrote. Right here. Before he passed away. And James Patterson, another very good author, finished the book for the lady, the widow, Michael Crichton's widow, and published it for him. I still haven't read it, finished the whole book, and I started reading this months and months and months ago. I don't know why, when I did, but I think I'm going to start read it again. It's talking about the eruption of the big volcano Mauna Loa on Hawaii. And they find other things that go wrong that they have to try to save. I saw the remake of the Andromeda Strain. It did not do well. I like the original Andromeda Strain. Ooh, I have to check that out. I'm not a big fan of new stuff anymore because some of these movies just are remakes of old stuff like Andromeda Strain. And if you actually ever heard the movie On the Beach, they made one in 2007, I think it was. There's one from the 1960s. Follows the book almost to the T, almost exactly unlike the remake. You know, they just updated it with new stuff, computers, internet. I didn't like it. So it does follow the book a little bit better, a little bit closely. But I like the original movie with Gregory Peck playing the captain of the submarine. It's a great novel, too. I've read the book. It's On the Beach by Neville Shute, who is an Australian author. It's about nuclear war. But so, how'd you like it? You like book four? What do you think of my android? She was in last minute edition, by the way. I just threw it together in my as I was writing, writing it. Now, this one's gonna take a while because I haven't even started writing book five. Sorry, but I will give you an update. I will give updates as soon as I can with book when I get how book five is coming along because I have to look that up. I'm gonna give me one second. I'll be right back. I'm not leaving. Call it storage. Movie. So it's supposed to be a funny movie, but I don't know. I'll wait till it comes out next year, see what happens. I'm looking at reviews, overview of the movie. Let's see who plays in it. It looks like Liam Neeson. Yeah, Liam Neeson's in it. Oh. And it's like per actor I know in that movie. I recognize in that movie. So do I. I read the first two Star Wars movies. No, not the prequels. The actual first movies. A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Couldn't finish the Return of the Jedi. I did read Revenge of the Sith. That was it. Yeah, I was looking at that. Yeah, I see Liam Neeson's in it. He's a good actor. He's the only one I actually recognize. But then again, I'm not big on new movies nowadays. I'm old school movies. John Wayne movies, stuff like that. Not the remakes, the originals with John Wayne. They tried to do. Hmm. You ever heard of Outbreak? See the movie Outbreak with oh God, I forget that actor's name all of a sudden. It's a book too, and I've read the book. The book actually is pretty good. The movie, could have been better. But Outbreak is similar to like the Andromeda strain virus brought by a monkey from Africa comes to a little California town and starts killing people, infecting slowly. I can't think of the name. Yeah, Dustin Hoffman's in the original in the movie Outbreak. See, yeah, Dustin Hoffman plays in that movie. And I can't think it plays the colonel, the to Black, the general. No, not the general. Well, the two more actors. I can't think of their names. They're famous, good. Yeah, those are good. Yeah, I like the original Andromeda Strain because you see the beginning where they walk into that literally dead town with it only has two survivors, a baby and an old man. The baby only because he cries screaming all day long, all day and all night. His mother dead lying by his crib. And the old man because he drinks sterno. And that's what kept the kid. That's how they found to fight the virus. I can't think of the name. The guy that played God in a stupid, funny movie. Bruce Almighty. He plays God in Bruce Almighty, and I can't think of his name. And that was so. It was. I love that movie. But I like good. Like, you ever seen the 1953 version of The Thing? Morgan Freeman. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name. He plays God in the Bruce Almighty. I thought that was funny. Bruce is walking on water with God. I love that scene. You ever seen the movie The Thing? Alien comes to Earth in a spaceship. Donald Sutherland. Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of his name all of a sudden. Great actor too. But no one will ever replace John Wayne as far as I care as a great actor. Actors like that you will never find anymore today. Sorry, a little thirsty all of a sudden. Actually, you want to watch a good movie? And it was a TV show afterwards. MASH. Donald Sutherland is in that movie. Only one of the actors that was in the movie makes it to the TV show. Gary Berghoff. He plays Radar in the movie and in the TV show. Watch the movie. The song you hear in the opening scene credits of the TV show, they give you the words. Suicide is Painless is the name of the song. Gary Berghoff, who plays Radar in the TV show, is in the movie. I loved MASH. Henry Blake was my favorite character. And Frank Burns. When they start sending this, so the original actors alone, like, really? Now, the scene where Henry Blake dies, they didn't tell the crew and cast about that until they filmed the scene. That was left to get there because McLean Stevenson wanted it that way. He wanted to die instead of go home. Henry Blake. Sorry. Like you learn anything about Henry Radar in real life, one of his hands, I forget which one it was. His hand was mangled. I forget from what. So if you ever watched him holding something in one hand, because he's trying to hide the deformity in that hand. When he sent Radar home, I was so sad. I loved Radar. I did not like Klinger. He looked good in dresses, but when he became company clerk, as they called him, he it was never the same. Same goes with when Harry left the show. Now you know Harry Morgan actually appears in the show as Harry Colonel Potter, and as a crazy general tries to court martial Hawkeye. Now you know that. Yeah, if you want to watch a good movie, watch MASH, the movie, not the TV show. The movie is really good. Because the opening credits to the movie almost the same as the opening credits to the TV show. The theme song is the same, except for they use words. And I'm guessing they couldn't put the suicide as painless in the opening credits to the TV show because that'd be a little inappropriate for the time. Because in the 1970s, censorship in this country was really hard on foul language, stuff like that. You couldn't do stuff like that on TV. Now, Ron Howard, the actor and TV producer, makes an appearance on that show too. I love MASH. I can sit down and watch MASH. I haven't watched it for a while. So I don't get. I have a TV behind me. Yeah. See there, it's a big TV. See, if I really turn it on, I like watching it on my computer or my phone. Kevin Spacey. I know who that actor is. I just can't think of anything he's in. Now I think when I do book five, when I start book five, they'll find a second jump gate on the other side. Well, I had to have a jump gate in front of the ship to come out. So there's another jump gate on the other side in the Andromeda Galaxy. Now that is where I'm going to have. I don't know yet. I'm still working on that. Same goes with the story. But thank you for the suggestion. You think I should do a separate book about that? I was thinking that when I read your comment about, so you can make Virus Book to look like Andromeda Strain. It was really nice move, really nice movie. I like that idea. You think I should do another book like that? Separate from my story I'm doing right now? I think I will. I'll look into that because I like ideas for that. I never thought of doing that. You ever see the show The Last of Us? The HBO show. It's a virus. It's a zombie apocalypse. Started with a virus. I played the game too, and oof, weird book, weird game, more weird movie, TV show. I've only watched season one of The Last of Us. There's a season two I've heard is not as good as the season one. I played the game too, of The Last of Us. I definitely recommend the game if you like a good zombie virus and a good shoot 'em up game. That's one right there. It follows the game, but adds its own touches. That explains as an opening scene of the first show, first episode. But it's like the 1960s. I really never watched it. I watched some episodes of The Walking Dead, but I never got into that show. Great show though, but I just never got into it. Or Fear the Walking Dead. If you want to watch a good zombie movie, Night of the Living Night of the Living Dead. There's a 1960s black and white movie. Starts the zombie thing all out together. They remade it. Even has, oh god, I can't think of this guy's name. It starts with Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, no, that's why I hate watching new movies. Because most of the time they're all just remakes of old movies, like the Andromeda Strain. They're trying to redo Star Trek episodes of like Strange New Worlds. They're just redoing original episodes of the original series. They need to stop and come up with some original ideas. That's why I hated Next Generation because the first two seasons of it was just remakes of original episodes. I hated Deep Space Nine. Yeah, it looked. I never really, like I said, I don't even know what happened to half the characters. I'm pretty sure Rick died. I think Rick dies in The Walking Dead. What's that guy? I can't think of characters' names. Michelle, the black lady, carries a samurai sword. She seemed cool. Now, do you know one of the one of the actresses that played on the show, makes a guest appearance on the show, was Sidney Crosby, who was Lieutenant Yar on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Makes an appearance on. The Walking Dead. Denise Crosby, sorry. Keep getting pop-ups. I hate pop-ups on my screen. Okay. Yeah, Walking Dead. I tried to watch The Fear of the Walking Dead. I actually saw the first episode of that show. It just never caught my liking. I just never liked it. They need to just start with something original ideas instead of going on with bringing rehashing old stuff like The Walking Dead, Star Trek. They even tried one time. You ever look it up? It's called The Odd Couple. Don't. I did. I watched one episode of that show. There's a remake. There's a 1960s TV show called The Odd Couple. Two men, best friends. One's a slob, the other one's a neat freak. Hence the reason why they're called The Odd Couple. Both divorced. And they live in an apartment in New York. Jack Lemmon, I love him. Walter Matthau plays Oscar Madison. Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. Jack Klugman plays in the TV show. Tony Randall's in the TV show as well. Two men living in an apartment. They're polar opposites of each other. One's a slob. Literally is a slob. It's scary what these men look like. This place looks like. His bedroom, you can't even walk in there. That's how bad it is. Jack Lemmon's character, he's the neat freak. It's Walter Matthau, not Matthew. Sorry. he Jack Lemmon plays the neat freak. Can't think of his name. The character, not I know Jack Lemmon who he plays. But that was a great TV show. They tried to remake it. They brought Chandler from Friends to play Oscar Madison in the show, and it bombed. It's like I said with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, they're just redoing some original episodes. They need to stop doing that and come up with something original. I've met Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock, before he died. He was at a mall where I used to live, near where I used to live. I just went to the mall just to go shopping. I'm bored. When I'm bored, I got to do something. I walk in before the mall opens. I just wait for the mall. Just walking around waiting for the mall to open. See a sign that says, "Meet Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock." Yeah, it didn't go very well for me. I hated that show. Friends, I hope they never make Friends again. Redo that show. That show just sucked. Now, show I'd like to see him redo is Seinfeld. To be honest with you, I liked Seinfeld. Or for that matter, if you ever watch it, look it up. Um, The Dukes of Hazzard, a TV show about this family living in Georgia, and they're former moonshiners. They would run moonshine, illegal moonshine, alcohol. Sorry, damn phone calls, spam calls. I hate spam. I better let you go. You probably got things to do too, and I'm going to call it a day, my friend. I've been on the phone, on the air for over an hour. I appreciate you listening. Take care, everyone. Yeah. Make myself useful. No, I don't. I always try to. I hope I see you again when. Yeah, I'm guessing Noah the Cat Nick is going to be doing his Noah the Cat stream. I hope he does. I like watching him. If you want to watch something good, a nice another live stream with cats in it, watch Feeding Street Cats. If you don't already, it's a Moroccan couple who live in Morocco who go out every day and feed like 200 street cats, stray cats on the street. They have a shelter where they bring in cats, mama cats, and their kittens as well. And they take care of these little guys. They make sure they have homes. They got cats with home handicapped. They got like 3 or 4 cats with 3-legged. They're good people. I love watching them. I was watching them before I just came on here to do my stream. They speak English. Their English is a little harder to understand, but they're very nice people. They go out, they feed kitty cats every day. And the cats know when they're there. When their van pulls up, they pull up. They know when the cats are, where the cats live, and the cats never. They show up. They bring out their big, heavy lunch box, big cooler, big green cooler, and as soon as they bring the cooler out, it's lunchtime, and these cats are running to them. That's why I watch them. They just take care of these animals. They never leave these little guys hungry. They never go hungry when they show up, like Nick does. I like watching Nick because he's a cool guy. He makes his guys happy. Except for those two who just want to jump over the fence. Bad kitties. Even Willow wants to jump over the fence again. Yeah, my dad, my mom. We had it when the house I used to live at before I moved to Florida. We had like 6 stray cats that stay at our back door looking for food. Our back door faced west, and it was covered by the back of the house all day, away from all the elements, the cold, the heat, the sun. And they could just the cats could sit out there and never feel alone because new cat would show up, new cat was welcomed as soon as they come up there. We did the same. We always made sure cats never got hungry. We just didn't have a shelter. We just gave them my mom was actually, when we first moved to that house, we had a black and white tuxedo cat show up, and my mom took a plastic tote box, cut a hole in one end, put a blanket in it, stuck it on the back deck, and that kitty cat stayed there all the time. He felt loved because we made sure he got loved. He left when 3 siblings showed up at our door. He was always felt safe there. But we made sure that all the kitties in our neighborhood got fed. But hey, I'm gonna call it a day again, my friend. I'm sorry. It's getting late. I gotta check my email, see if I get anything from my publisher about book one. Hopefully my finished manuscript for book one. Here's book one. And the part I like is copyrighted, which means nobody can copy my book title. I like that. But I'm gonna call it a day, my friend. Yeah, I hope I see you again if Nick does his live stream tonight. If not, tomorrow. I forget if he said he was going to do one tomorrow today or not. I'll see you tomorrow probably. You have a good day, my friend. Take care. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. And thanks for talking. Bye. Stream.